This happened literally just now. The far left extremist website called Reddit decided to ban the word groomer in their infinite wisdom. Now, this goes to show what I've been saying for a couple of months now, that the left side of the ideology has completely lost the ability to perform debates. They have completely lost the ability of persuading and convincing their ideological opponents and reaching some sort of middle ground. And it's not just about this topic, it's about every single topic. The only thing that they have left is censorship and banning. And the problem with this is that people are going and they're having the discussion elsewhere, and then they vote accordingly. And then you realize, oh my God, Roe v. Wade got overturned. How did that happen? I mean, you managed to ban the conversation or to make it at least unpalatable everywhere on the internet. And yet, yea and behold, you have people that are voting to overthrow abortion all of a sudden. Well, the reason for this is that they had the conversation elsewhere without the input of the moderators and the trusted service, because I know a lot of people, they do believe that conversation can only happen on the internet and they can only happen online. Well, throughout human history, most of conversations were held in bars, pubs, over the phone, using actual paper and pamphlets and graffiti, and people are doing that because you don't want to talk to them on the internet. And on the internet, you don't even have the overwhelming majority on your side. You just have the gatekeepers, the moderators, the admins. And they're the ones that are making the rules for everyone else. And everyone else has to comply. But all of the other people, you haven't convinced them of anything. Right? So, for example, in this situation, like the word groomer, Reddit claims that it's hate speech, that it's anti-LGBT. I have yet to see the word groomer used as an insult towards a gay person that just happens to be gay. It's like someone says, hey, I'm on Twitter and I happen to be gay. I haven't seen that. This word has gained prominence mostly during the pandemic, when school classes had to be streamed online because kids couldn't go to school. And I remember a couple of articles from teachers that were very concerned that now the parents are going to have access, they're going to be able to listen in to what their children are doing at school, because the parents were also at home, unable to go to work. The kids were also at home, listening to the school classes. So parents, for the first time ever, were like the journalists, #concerned of what they were hearing. And there were a couple of school board meetings where the parents brought some very bizarre material that 5th graders were supposed to be exposed to. And it wasn't even gay, by the way. It was straight. It was about, I believe, a little boy and a young girl having a sexual relation, and they were talking about vagina. There were very descriptive pictures. And the parents were incredibly concerned about this, to which they were considered to be hateful bigots, terrorists, and whatnot. Like all sorts of insults were levied at the parents. So the parents got upset, and they started voting differently, electing different school boards, and was very problematic. So that was one thing. Another thing was with the Drag Kid Story Hour, where children were taken into locales, like strip clubs made for adults. They were watching drag, and that was very bizarre. There is a viral footage of an internet video where there are some kids being taken to a place where on the wall it says, it will not lick itself. And it's not even, again, like this is not about transgender people. This was about drag. I mean, drag, from what I understand, is a type of fashion where cisgender straight men dress as women. Some of them may be gay, I don't know. But like, again, I haven't seen the word being used as hate speech towards the LGBT community. I have seen the word being used towards activists that promote these type of activities. And the word is mostly used as a conversation ender. It's like, I'm not interested in your arguments anymore. I have made up my mind. I am now a bigot. You can't convince me. Yes, the time of convincing has passed. So these people have made up their mind, and they're probably going to vote during the midterms, and it's very problematic for the moderators at Reddit, which is why they decided to ban the word. However, banning the word isn't going to make the problem go away. Is it like a person that is concerned about something simply because they can't express it now doesn't mean that they're not going to be concerned. Imagine if during the Black Lives Matter protests, you would have the police by some magical way managing to ban the word racist from the internet. They would say that the word racist is a anti-white slur that's being used against the cops. And therefore, you can't use it because it's hate speech. Do you honestly think that would make the protest stop? Do you honestly think that the protesters would be like, oh, well, now that we can't talk about it, we're just going to go home? Like, obviously not. You're just going to make the matter worse. Because in order to alleviate the concerns, you'd actually have to have a conversation. You'd have to say, why exactly do you think it's so pivotal and important to take fifth graders to drag queen story hour or to various establishments? You'd have to explain why do they need to be exposed to very interesting and spicy books that apparently, like, you had parents trying to read from the books that were for the students, and the teachers told the parents to not continue because they were too offensive. So, like, the books that were being told to the students were too problematic to be said during a student parent council meeting. And I'm pretty sure, like, at this point, everyone knows it. Like, I don't even need to show images. It's on the internet. So, it is very interesting that Reddit is panicking over this, which obviously is going to cause the right-wingers to use the word even more because it shows that it's effective. And even then, they're probably going to make other words that are going to bypass it. And I think, like, the reason people on Reddit are afraid is because they do know the power of words and labels, right? I mean, they use the word misogynist. They use the word misogynist applying even to people who aren't misogynists. Like, during the 2016 elections, there were people who were called misogynists just by disagreeing with Hillary Clinton. There were people called racist just for not voting with Obama. Like, they have expanded the definition of certain words to include other actions, and it's a conversation ender. Like, the moment they would label someone an istophobe or whatever, no one was supposed to interact with that person. It was kind of like a person that lost their honor, if you will. And you're not supposed to interact with them. You're not supposed to hire them. You're not supposed to have any type of connection with that person. So they understand the power of linguistics. They understand just how damaging it can be. And again, from my personal observation, I have seen the word groomer, especially on Twitter, being used mostly towards non-LGBT people. Usually towards activists, usually towards people that were promoting that young students would be exposed to sexual courses. And we're not talking about high school students, right? Because a high school student is going to laugh and mock. Like, when you talk about a high school student, they already have the fundamental understanding and the fundamental basics to interact with these things. No, we're talking about, like, very young children, which is why the word was initially made. So, yeah, I mean, it is very interesting with the ban. In my opinion, it's the same like banning the word racist for being an anti-white slur. I don't think banning words is the solution for everything. I don't think it's going to alleviate the problem. And again, it's going to make people look even more suspiciously towards this activity. They're going to believe it's like, oh, well, if they're banning things, it means they have something to hide, right? Like, oh, if you have nothing to hide, why are you banning? And by the way, like, it's Reddit, right? Like, it's not like the word was being used so often. Like, Reddit is already a far-left extremist website. Like, all of the people from Tumblr moved to Reddit. It's not like this was a major problem on Reddit. It's not like it was a big issue. So, it is very interesting that the moderators decided this, and now, I believe Pink News was like, okay, well, this is done. Twitter, what are you going to do about it? Well, Twitter is probably not going to do much about it, in my opinion. Personally, I hope they do something. But I hope that Twitter bans the word as well. Because I know that there's right-wing politicians that use it. Like mainstream right-wing elected politicians that have used the word. And it's going to be very omoshiroi. Like very interesting to see right-wing politicians getting banned from Twitter. Again, like Reddit doesn't have many politicians. In fact, I don't think it has any politicians that uses Reddit. But like Twitter does have official blue checkmark politicians. And if they keep getting banned, they're going to go to alternative platforms, and it's going to make the news. It's going to be very difficult for Reddit to keep maintaining the facade that is just a platform. Because this is what all of the social media companies try to do, believe it or not. Like people who go on the social media platforms and they're interested into politics, they know that these platforms have a political bias. But most people, they believe that Twitter is like the phone company. And you're just, using it and you're connecting with other people and you're talking and there's no interference. But when right-wing politicians start getting banned left and right, especially over just using a word, it's going to be very interesting. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.